Okay, so you know what? We're recording. We're gonna do this. This is what we're doing right now. This is my first, I guess you can say, serious video podcast, whatever you want to call it. Yo, so I'm like super stressed right now. Not trying to like be a drama queen or whatever, drama king, I guess you would say. Um, so since about let's say October or September, I started going back to college. I'm looking to my goal is to become an occupational therapist, so that's what I'm doing. And there's a huge difference between me in school back then, when I was 18, 19, fresh out of high school, um, than where I'm at nowadays. I'm definitely a lot more interested in school and, definitely want to see myself do well. And I used to settle for like a 75, even a lower 70. Whatever had me passing, I was totally stoked about. And now a freaking 85 is like ripping my hair out. So I've been doing really well. Last semester I ended up with like a 96, which I'm super proud about. Um, the most important thing for me is when I transitioned from my community college into my graduate college, um, where I'm actually in the program, the occupational therapy program. It's a very expensive college, and the big thing is if I do well in my where I'm at right now, doing my prereqs, they're gonna give me a decent amount of money towards my college and my graduate school, which is huge. I mean, gosh, it's a $60,000 uh, amount of cash that I could potentially be getting if I just do well in this school. Um, I literally have four classes I need to knock out, but they are proving to be a little bit tougher than I anticipated. So today I had to take a test. It was actually an online test, which is really nice, but it was an online test for um, biology. And dude, so I took all the quizzes leading up to it, which don't count as much, but I did pretty well. And I rewrote all my notes, went through the PowerPoints and everything. And, it came to a point where when I was studying, I was able to look at these facts, I look at the terminology, and without even looking at the paper, I could actively, out loud, say what these things meant and what they were doing. It's a lot to do with cellular structure, um, the different organelles inside of the cell and how they function and how they all work together and all that stuff. I mean, I honestly had a good grasp on this stuff. And I'm like, okay, I'm ready to take this test. I mean, I reviewed my notes that I took during lecture, and I reviewed the notes that I redid today going through like 90 PowerPoint slides. And I'm like, dude, I got this. Like, this is cool. I know what I'm doing, know what I'm talking about. And I get to the test, and not even going to say it. I mean, just threw me for a freaking loop. Um, it was like the way that the questions were worded. It was like got you questions. It's like I'm like, dude, I know what this terminology means, but the way that these freaking questions are worded just threw me off. Um, Previous to this test, I had a 91 in this class, and two things brought that down. Obviously, this test grade, of course, it brought it down because I did fucking horrible. I got a 64 on it, which is disgusting. I mean, at that point, I would take a freaking 80. I would say, okay, an 80. Maybe I need to brush up on a few things, but 64, that's like, dude, you don't know anything. Like, it's like I was just reading stuff, but it wasn't actually like absorbing it into my freaking brain. But so I did that. I tanked that. But prior to that, we do labs every week. So I have two classes. I have two nights a week that I go to school. I have a lecture on Tuesday, and on Thursday I have the lab. So every time we do a lab, the following week there's a lab quiz that's due. Again, I had a pretty good grasp on this lab, considering I did something very similar to it in my last biology class. So I had a pretty good grasp on it. But I can openly admit that I kind of rushed through that quiz. So I did bad on that quiz, got like a 77, and it dropped my grade from a 91 down to like an 85 or 86. And then I took this test and it freaking brought me down to an 80, which a lot of people would be like totally stoked about an 80, but like what like is at stake? Like I said, is $60,000 worth of money that is going to help me with my career. 60,000 that I'm not going to have to pay back. So I have to get a 4.0, which I think is like a 90. There's so many different scales, but I believe it's like a 90 to 100 would give you a 4.0. So right now I have a class, my last class, I got a 96. That's a 4.0. So this class, I need to get between a 90 and 100. I need to end up with. Honestly, today I have lab. Next week I'm going to have that lab quiz. The lab quizzes are actually graded, are weighted much, much higher than the actual test. So if I do a killer job on this lab quiz next week, like if I get 100, it's going to bump my grade back up to like a 90 or pretty damn close. And then if I just continue to do good on the test, it's going to be awesome. But it's so frustrating to put all this freaking effort and to like know without a doubt that I know what this stuff means, and then you get to these tests and you're like, dude, like what the fuck, man? Like, as Tosh.0 says, like people that complain about they're a bad test taker, he's like, you mean you're stupid? And every time I take a test, I totally think about that because I'm gonna sit here and say I'm a bad test taker, but I seriously know this freaking information, which is so frustrating because I know what I'm talking about. I can explain it to people, and the test just freaking threw me for a loop. So I'm just kind of venting, using this first major video as like a venting thing. So yeah, that's like what I'm thinking about right now. I have class in like an hour and a half. I have to leave in an hour and a half to go. And dude, I'm like stressing out, man. I'm trying to quit cigarettes. And I'm not like okay, I smoke cigarettes. I do. Yeah, I have to stop saying that I don't because I do smoke cigarettes. I've been smoking for like probably a year and a half on and off. And it is not helping me with like giving that up, which freaking sucks because I don't need to smoke, man. Shit's gross. It's disgusting. And it's not good for me. Yeah, in other news, so in the other videos that I've posted on here, a lot of them were like, don't do what Nick does. Really just stems from, like, sometimes I get these ideas in my head and I just go for them. And sometimes, not the greatest idea. But I've been kind of working on my truck here and there. This is kind of a tangent, but for those who don't know, last month I broke my leg. I broke my ankle, actually. And I was out of commission for a whole month. I couldn't work, and I was just chilling at home. So I started like buying stuff for my truck. I have a little Ford Ranger, and they're easily like customizable as far as like accessories and all that garbage that you can spend money on. So I bought this thing that's called a windshield visor, which is a cool little overhang that goes over your window. It's made of carbon fiber, and you basically nail it or you screw it into the top of your cab, and it's like, it prevents the sun from getting in, so it kind of keeps your cab cool in the summertime, and it kind of like aesthetically it looks pretty cool. Well, yeah. So on a tangent of don't do what Nick does, like don't rush through that shit, man. I got help. I got the help of my brother, and I installed this thing, and it seemed pretty great. There was a few other things I wanted to do to it, like seal the holes around it so that water didn't leak in, which is don't do that shit. But the other day, it was like 2 days ago, it was really windy on the way home from work, and I had to go to school. So I was on my way home from work, going to school, and the visor started kind of catching wind a little bit. Like, it started getting loose, and I was like, okay, this is getting sketchy. And I knew it had so much potential just to fly off. And I was like, dude, I'm going to make it home. I'm going to tighten this down. Everything's going to be cool. I'm one exit away from home, and this big gust of wind just fucking hits underneath it, and this thing rips off my roof and almost hits a lady's car. So it didn't hit her car, but she ran over it. And due to that situation, I was like, I can't go to school. Like, I got to figure this shit out, man. So needless to say, I lost $130 because I didn't get that thing back. I wasn't about to like drive the opposite way or, take an exit around and go and find it. Like, it was gone. Not to mention the holes, like the screw holes uh, in my roof had been like elevated because of the wind picking it up. It messed it up. So I had to get a grinder and all that stuff and seal the holes because it's still snowing here in Rochester. Like, dude, it was just not cool. Again, like, not a good situation for me trying to quit cigarettes. So, yeah, that's like what I've been going through. Nothing crazy. There's other world life problems out there, but yeah, I'm like super stressed today. So I'm gonna go in and talk to my professor. Sorry, I'm just checking how much time we got here. And I'm just gonna talk to him, man. Just be like, dude, I know this material, but those questions were freaking tough, dude. Like, could you ease it up a little bit, dog? Like, I'm trying to get my $15,000 per year, man. This is $60,000 at stake. That's like a year's worth of working full time for me. Like, so I'm gonna talk to him about that. I mean, the cool thing is, my professor's really awesome. Shout out to ratemyprofessor.com for like hooking that up. But my professor's really awesome. He drops the lowest test grade. I had him for my last class, so he knows that I work hard. He knows what I'm trying to do. So, he's not trying to see me fail or anybody else in the class fail. So I just gotta talk to him and figure that out. But yeah, hopefully. On a side note, I'm hoping to get this video thing more perfect. Like, I understand there's a lag to this, which I need to figure out. If anybody has any tips, like, I'm using my DSLR, my Canon DSLR, and it's going through the EOS utility, which I'm mirroring into OBS, and there's a slight lag. I don't know if it's because it's a DSLR, if it's because I'm using the micro USB cable and not HDMI. But yeah, if you guys have any tips, definitely hook that up and let me know in the comments. I have a buddy, Jay, who's equally as handsome and equally as funny as I am. So I plan to have him on one of these times or many other times, and we're just gonna kind of shoot the shit and just talk about stuff. We both work together. We both have. He has a more interesting life than I do, to be honest. Him and my wife has a more interesting life for sure. So maybe I'll have her on as well. But shoot, other than that, I really appreciate you guys checking this out. Like I said, if you have any tips on my setup here, let me know. And if you have any things that maybe you'd like to hear me talk about, definitely shoot those in the comments below. Subscribe, all that good stuff. Your boy doesn't have any merch yet, so I'm not even gonna worry about that, because honestly, I'm not trying to sell you guys stuff. I'm not trying to make you guys seem like you gotta take time out of your day to watch me. But if you happen to see it, awesome. So that's it for me. I'm out. I gotta go eat something. I gotta get ready to go to school and become stress free. So, peace. Yeah.